everyone, and welcome into Inside LAFC podcast from scorching Alhambra. I am Max Bretos, joined by Jordan Harvey, who asked me if I'm the first person on this podcast to wear a hat, and you're not, but it looks really good on you. Show that thing. That's
born and
glorious.
raised, not many people can wear this, right?
I can't.
Oh,
I was
bummer.
not born.
Oh.
Kind of raised.
And don't
Not
you
born.
go buying a born and raised in Miami hat.
I moved around a fair bit, but yeah, I was born in Ohio.
Oh,
So
sorry.
where my mom was going to college. A little more information. But if you are born and raised, get one of those hats. They're glorious. We have a great show here. In addition to having Jordan Harvey, we are going to be joined by Sergi Palencia. We'll talk about Charlotte. We'll talk about the big game coming up on Sunday as Inter Miami and Messi come to town.
Oh, they are? Wow.
Do you need some
didn't
tickets? I got
actually
some.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Exciting time. It's going to be awesome at BMO Stadium. Team's ready.
Team's ready.
Team's ready.
We'll look back at Charlotte, too, because there are some good spots that we will tell you. Obviously disappointing for LAFC not to get a result on that long trip. They don't have to play this week. We'll get ready. Plenty of Messi talk. Sergi Palencia, Jordan Harvey, and me, Max. Let's go. We're here with Jordan. I'm from Miami originally, Jordan. My father would always say, don't be that guy who brings up the heat. Everyone knows when it's hot. But, man, it is hot here today. I mean, how about this heat here in Alhambra?
Well, it's not humid, right? I mean, that's the
My
plus
dad's
from
like, "Don't be-"
Miami.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? He goes, don't bring the heat. We know it's hot. So
It's always
he said it's
hot.
bad etiquette.
Summertime, guys. Enjoy it. It's
true. It's
there
not that
was
bad.
Rain last week. Come on. Just enjoy it. Come on.
We have our crew here. Joe, were you in Charlotte? How hot was it? Worse than this. So LAFC, a long trip. By the way, we'll talk to Sergi Palencia. We'll get an insight on travel and the challenges. I think it's always interesting to see the players' perception of MLS and the reality.
One of my favorite signings of the season. I'm obviously
How so?
partial to fullbacks, but he's somebody that does all the little things that I love about the fullback position. He does them right.
What is that? What's on the top of that list for a fullback? You wear many hats for this club.
His intensity, his willingness to step, defend. He defends properly, sets his feet, and then he loves to get stuck in when the time comes.
It's a tough position, man. It's a lot of responsibility.
There are harder positions, but
Okay.
I'll
I'll
concede that
get
there are
into
harder.
that.
But it's a fun one.
Scoring goals is at the top, maybe? That's the highest
it's
pressure.
It's the hardest thing to do in the game, score goals.
Yeah. I would like to say I saw Mario Gonzalez in there, and I said since he was on the podcast, he scored a goal. We got to see the pistolero.
Are you trying to do it every week now? Haven't
Yeah.
you?
Sergi Palencia, we'll talk to him. Maybe be man of the match, marking Messi. He has some really interesting things to talk about facing Messi, so look forward to that. We'll talk a little bit about it because it's obviously... I mean, I turned on CNBC this morning, and that was talking about Lionel Messi and MLS, and they're showing all the numbers. I was like, whoa.
How many people have hit you up for tickets in the
Oh,
last,
man.
not even the last week, which it usually is. It goes back, once he signed, it was like people started hitting you up for tickets. It was like everybody looked at the calendar for the first time and like, oh, he comes in this date. All right, I'm going to hit Jordan up.
I got an email from a kid who's a student, very well-intended. He goes, hey, looking to film the Messi game. If I can get access to the field, I'm reading this going, no. I didn't respond to him. But
That's not cool.
I was like, I don't want to go, dude, no. No chance. Zero chance.
So tickets are hard to come by. It will be a
come.
full house. That's what we're talking about
It's going to be an LA event. And look, if you can't be there in person, see it on MLS Season Pass, Apple TV, because we've seen all these Messi games. You don't want to miss them. We saw this incredible group. They showed it free at Times Square, and they filmed, thousands of people just sitting there cheering. I never thought I'd see the day, quite frankly.
I mean, everybody's focused on Messi, and I know that is the kind of the highlight of Miami coming in. Everybody wants to see Messi. For me, it's the whole team.
Yeah, they're not giving up goals, man.
No, they Tata Martino is one of the biggest acquisitions behind Messi, right? And then you have Busquets, Jordi Alba, and then a number of young guys who are very exciting as well. So they transformed their roster over this transfer window, and it's not just Messi, although he is the catalyst of it all, but it's the whole group that's really playing well.
Yeah, being on the field with Messi and knowing that, I guess, the commitment to excellence, everyone's lifted. Drake Callender winning 2 penalty shootouts. I know it's not just him, but that's hard to do in back-to-back games. And Benjamin Kramashki, who's elevated and was on the receiving end of that pass, which he returned for the Messi goal. But we'll get to that. We'll talk a little bit about Charlotte. We'll keep it brief. Obviously, it wasn't a great night for LAFC falling behind. They battled back. As we said, Mario Gonzalez got the goal. The transition, Charlotte, I think, probably that's where they won the game. They were able to limit those gilt-edged chances for LAFC, who did get, I watched it again this morning. We're taping this on a Monday, but I watched it again this morning, and it's like you're pleasantly surprised with the chances, and they'd be frustrated they didn't get the point, which was always going to be difficult on a long trip like that. Hot with the surface as well. It's a challenge.
Yeah, I think with this group, it was this game. It's almost as if they're waiting for something to push them on.
Yeah.
LAFC, that is. And once they give up the goal, I feel like LAFC kind of took over, started managing the game well. Obviously, got the goal, and then you thought they were going to go on to win it. There were chances there, but obviously going down, and it's a tough one on turf with a good crowd that they had.
37,000.
But, the chances were there. It was difficult. I like to focus on some of the positive things. I thought Kiki Oliveira coming in, man, he is dangerous, and he showed it again coming off the bench, providing the through ball to Bawanga, which then Mario Gonzalez got on the end of. And then the thing that I love to look back on is during that goal, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you watch the goal back a couple times, it'll hit you. And it's something that people don't really pay attention to. But after Kiki Oliveira played the through ball, watch, and you'll go back and watch this.
I will.
Watch his sprint afterwards. And obviously, Bawanga gets on the ball, slips it to Mario. But Kiki Oliveira, from the moment he kicked the ball, it was almost like he wanted to get on the end of the cross. And it was a 40 or 50-yard sprint to get into the box. He wasn't used, but it was really impressive, and it showed his willingness just to get in the box and do what it takes to hopefully pick up the pieces if it did come to that. But it was something that sprint kind of shows you a lot of what he's made of.
To bring all that talent off the bench is huge. And, the marketplace, obviously that's what Miami excelled at, but bringing in Messi, no one's going to touch that. I like what Columbus did. They got Diego Rossi, one of our former players. A few other teams were able to plug it. They got Julian Gressel.
He scored on the weekend as well.
All three LAFC new signings have scored. First it was Fufu, then it was Kike, and then it was Mario Gonzalez. And obviously that's the guy you want to score. I thought his hold-up play was really good. He put his back there. There was that one play, I think it was to Bawanga early on. It was just a bit offside. Or maybe it was Carlos, but it was offside, but he held. That's what you want him to do. I thought very promising from all three, but in particular the Charlotte game with Mario.
Yeah, it was great for him to get on the score sheet, as you said. His hold-up play is something that you've seen even from his first minutes against Monterrey.
Yeah.
That was a difficult game where we were pinned in a lot of the time, and you saw us kind of breaking to kind of spring our attacks. But it was Mario Gonzalez's, I think, hold-up play that really helped with that. And then you've seen, I think that so far has been his greatest kind of contribution, is being able to hold up the ball, bring players into the attack, which we saw even before he came in, that was his huge strong suit of his.
Yeah, I'm not just saying it's because he's our guest, but Sergi, again, I thought some deadline running was really good. I think you could not have said any perfect. It's just those opportunities for them to where they didn't rise. Give credit, Charlotte. This was a big game for them. They need to win a lot if they want to make the postseason. There's pressure on them in year two to at least show that they can do that. The crowd was engaged, and again, a very difficult trip. And we don't want to talk too much about the surface, but it's you could just see the way that ball bounces. There's different kinds of artificial turf. Some are better than others, and I think that one, the way it looked, hard to control. Gives Charlotte an advantage, LAFC a disadvantage, but there's tiers of turf. That one's.
I'm sure we'll talk about it with Palencia. All the difficult things that MLS presents, whether that's the altitude of heat or turf fields. And I played on turf for the majority of my career, unfortunately for my knees, and it's an advantage for the home side. When I played in Vancouver. Sometimes players wouldn't travel and even play in Vancouver. They bring out maybe second-team lineups, or they just weren't up for it like Vancouver was, or teams that are at their home with their crowd behind them. So it is an advantage, and just knowing the bounces and the different things, having played on that field throughout the entirety of the season when a team that plays on grass predominantly comes in, it's just little things that you might not see the major impact, but there's little things that happen throughout the game that probably add up to it.
Yeah. So home field advantage is real, more so in this league than anywhere else. That's something LAFC will enjoy on Sunday. They don't have to play on Wednesday. 26 of the 29 MLS teams do play on Wednesday, including Inter Miami. They're at home against Nashville, who they played in the League's Cup final. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes Messi gets, because he came in at the hour mark. And just to point out what you said about how it's bigger, I mean, Inter Miami controlled that game before Messi even got in there. That's just, they're playing like one of the top teams in MLS. So probably keep an eye on that. But now you see how LAFC can show off their home support. A full week, 8 days between games, which is a luxury here. And then you're going to get this Inter Miami team, which puts pressure on LAFC. There's going to be pressure because the eyes are on here, and every other MLS team has felt the weight of playing Messi. But now LAFC, they're the champs. This is the game I think most people feel that it's going to be the most difficult for this new Inter Miami team, in particular because of a long trip.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting how Tata Martino uses Messi in this game, and I think he addressed that very question as far as Messi won't be here. He'll be gone with international duty, miss maybe a couple games there, so the team has to gel on their own without him, and that's why the rotation. But regardless of whatever amount of minutes he does play, he's going to have an impact on the game, as you've seen, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or plays the whole game. He definitely comes in and things are lifted for sure.
I've watched Messi from the beginning, and like all of you, a huge fan. I wonder what that conversation was like for Tata Martino to tell him we're going to come off the bench, because knowing Messi, that's not going to fly with him. He goes, I'm playing, and I'm playing 90 minutes. I remember it was at his PSG, and they pulled him off, and it went viral. He's like, wait, me? I'm not coming off this game.
I would imagine that Tata Martino probably has a good conversation, a good rapport with him to be able to manage him in a way.
He wants to play every minute of every game.
I'm sure.
But I would imagine it's not him going, I need a break, because he's just not that kind of player.
Yeah.
He plays. He loves this sport, and he doesn't come out of games.
What do you, and this is a question, I guess, for you. I'd love to hear your take on it. There's been a number of places that he's played, and he's had different receptions. The one that they're talking about in New York, where there was predominantly Miami fans. How do you think LA will be?
It'll be an LAFC. It'll be black and gold. And I think most of the stadiums, with the exception of the Red Bulls, and I think that's something the league has to discuss, because, New York has to be, LAFC is, the Galaxy, all due respect to them, they built something there. They were a championship team, and LAFC put LA over the top. You don't feel that up in New York.
I hope, and that's I believe that LAFC will show up black and gold, and it will be, those colors around the stadium. I will say, though, that even games prior at home in LA, there's like scattered Messi jerseys kind of in the stands.
They're everywhere.
And you see them, they stand out, they're bright pink. And
Argentina jerseys, too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting.
This is important, I think, because it's important for LAFC. It's important for MLS to kind of show that, hey, at home, the best team takes care of business. So I don't know what it's going to look like, because we can't put your finger on this Messi phenomenon. And again, what happened? I don't know what happens on Wednesday. Maybe he can't go. Knock on wood, God forbid. But that's a lot on his shoulders. That guy.
I don't think it's too much for him to handle.
No, think about Beckham when he got here. He eased into it. He didn't play for like a month. Zlatan as well. The big stars. Was that not? Wait, why are you shaking? Zlatan came in, and then it took a while. Messi hit the ground running. Came in and has started every game until the Red Bulls.
I think it was a trauma response for Ibrahimovic, because when he came in for his first appearance, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, but it took a few weeks for him to kind of get into it.
Yeah.
Beckham took forever. And then too much Galaxy talk. But it took a while. I'm making a point that Messi, I would say, there's a transition, but with him, it's just playing and excelling, succeeding, winning a trophy in an Open Cup final.
It'll be an exciting game.
There have been tight margins, though, right? I mean, you look at it. They blew out Charlotte in one of the League's Cup games. Came back against Dallas. Came back against Cincinnati. Inter Miami has been hanging on the edge, but it's still a situation where they get the results, which is the ultimate thing.
Yeah, and again, they've made a whole group of changes. It seems they've totally turned that that team around with the off the field and on the field acquisitions during the transfer window. This is throwing me off a little bit. But because of that, it's a new squad. You can't really look back at the results prior to when Messi came here. You really have to look at this as a new team, and they're just kind of starting their season.
What does Messi mean to you? We're all fans. That's part of this whole process, is seeing this guy and being wowed. I mean, even the pass against New York Red Bulls, that may be the top moment, which is crazy to say with those free kick goals, that he could have something that we've never seen before. But just as a fan,
there's the obvious things about Messi. I think for me, above all of those obvious things that he is so amazing at, I think he represents a way of going about his business in such a respectful way. Having been with Barcelona for so long, obviously being vocal about not necessarily wanting to go to PSG, having to do that, and now coming into Miami and approaching this time in MLS with such, authenticity.
Yeah.
I think that's what I see from Messi, being such a superstar but humble. Obviously, Carlos Vela is a superstar. He's not on the Messi level. He would admit to that. But he approaches his career and his lifestyle the same way, where he's such a superstar, but he comes across with such this humble authenticity, being genuine with everything that he does. And that's what I see from Messi as standing out as, one of the greatest athletes of all time.
I would throw Thierry Henry as another of those superstars. It took a little while to ease in. Come in.
We're going back to this?
I know. I'm sorry. I just was thinking about it. Didier Drogba hit the ground running. I'll say that. He looks happy, too. I mean, and he comes on the field. He says hi to the ref. We'll talk about that reaction, because you've got to be awed. These players, you can sense it. But he's just enjoying it. Just enjoying life in the States. He always wanted to go to Miami. And as someone who works in this league, I'm eternally grateful, because everything's changed about our league, our sport in this country. And he has ignited that. We got to find a way to maintain it and spread it out. I don't know how you do that, but I do believe that there's interest in other teams in the league and other players, just because osmosis almost. That Messi's here. Oh, let me take a look at their opponents that they're playing.
You would hope. You would absolutely hope, and I think owners and clubs across the league will see this as they're not far off. Whether you're last place in the league, you're fighting for a playoff spot. A few acquisitions, the right ones, and you can turn from a probable playoff team to a real contender like they have.
How do you approach it if you're Steve, knowing that star power? Because you've got to. And we talked to Sergi about it, and you'll hear it. You've got to quell that to not sound too cliche. This is just another game. Let's go out and do what we think. How's the best way, do you think, to handle that?
So I think you've seen a wide variety of ways teams have handled it. They've tried to knock him off the ball or get him off his game, and from what I see, it just makes him, it lights a fire in him that makes him want to compete more. So I think similar to how Sergi plays and how Giorgio plays. I mean, the class that he comes across with, it's going hard, it's not giving an inch, but then being super respectful along the way. I think obviously the tactics, Steve. Ante, Marc Dos Santos, they'll go about it the way that they do as far as how the team plays. But in terms of how you compete, I think that's the way.
I think that's a great point. And you look at the players that LAFC has that makes them different from all these Inter Miami players. They have experience. They have world-class experience. Carlos Vela's not going to be odd. Giorgio's not going to be odd. Sergi, Ilie Sanchez, probably crossed paths many times with
a lot of national team players on our team as well.
So they'll be well-equipped. But you get nervous, but it's exciting. It's really exciting, and it's great that he's here, and we'll get a good look. So enjoy it when you come out to BMO Stadium. We'll see you there Sunday. You're pumped, right?
I'm really pumped. We won't see everybody there. Unfortunately, there's capacity.
Except for that lovely student who asked for access. I'll get you on the field. Maybe you can ask Messi for his shirt while you're there. We're gonna get to our guest. Sergi Palencia will join us. We'll talk about the Charlotte game, playing Messi, food, of course. What makes him tick, and you'll enjoy our conversation. Always great to have Jordan Harvey here. Great to be with you in glorious Alhambra. Gage, the groundskeeper, doing his thing. We got you all covered inside LAFC. Guest appearance. Yeah. We have to make him sign a waiver. More work. We'll be back with Sergi Palencia. You all know that show by Zach Galifianakis, Between Two Ferns? Well, I'm going to call this Between Two Fullbacks. That's right. We have Jordan Harvey and we have... You don't know that show. Sergi Palencia.
I don't know that.
One fern is looking a little older than the other.
Yeah,
All right,
I don't know
gotcha.
that show.
Gotcha.
By the way, I have to ask as the players. So on the back of your shirts, Sergi, it says Palencia. What would you prefer to be called by a broadcaster? Sergi Palencia?
Whatever. I feel comfortable with both. Sergi. Yes, it's more personal.
Okay, because I talked to Ilie Sanchez, and he said when I broadcast the game, his mother appreciated when I called him Ilie Sanchez. So I'll do that
Full
as
name.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. Sergi Palencia is a good one. Good way to call to call me in the matches. Yeah.
Okay,
I
we
like
got it.
I like that.
Hey, you're playing great, man. We've been talking. We talked about you last week.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Yeah, Jordan. We had a conversation
Yeah.
with the right back.
So before it was Stephen Beitashour was here for
Yes.
a couple of years, right? And he was the right back that really got us on our feet, laid the foundation. And he came into town in Colorado, and the first thing he says to me as he comes off the field is like, "Who's this Sergi Palencia?" He's like, "He's very good." I'm like, "Beta, I told you about this kid in preseason." I'm like, "He's the best. He's the best. If we have the 3 best fullbacks in the league on one team, and he's one of them."
Right.
Yeah.
And we have one of the best fullbacks as a coach.
And
That
so
was-
I had to introduce him to Beta.
Maybe
and it
it's
just
one of
worked
the
out.
keys. Maybe one of the keys.
think?
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
But
That's why we do so well with
I
fullbacks
think so.
here.
Yeah. But Beta gave him the rite of passage. It was like, man, you're amazing. I got them to introduce them, and they got to meet, and it was nice. It was a nice moment.
Always when you win 4-0, like we did against Colorado, we all look like better than we are. You know?
Very good.
Then you go to Charlotte and you look and you say, it's not as good as against Colorado. You know, I can be better, and I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to recover my fitness with the ankle injury that I had against Leon in the final. I'm starting to feel better again. And I think this end of the season, not only for me, for everybody, will be a good one.
And coming into the league, you've adapted really well, better than most do. What have been some of the obstacles that you've faced, so far this season? That like the turf or the altitude or the heat. What are the major impacts? On you?
I think the difficulty when you go away, when you play away, you face maybe the altitude, maybe the humidity, the turf.
What's been the hardest for you?
I think the altitude.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. When we played against Real Salt Lake or Colorado, I didn't play against Colorado, but I was warming up and out of breath. Crazy. This is for me. This is the worst. After the humidity, you can adapt, but the altitude.
What did you know about MLS coming in to this season? Because I know a lot of players, sometimes they watch from afar, but you don't really see all the intangibles that you just described.
Yeah.
What is it coming in that you expected?
Yeah, definitely we don't know these kind of things. And we always talk in the dressing room. When Messi or these players know the difficulty of this, they will be surprised. Because one thing is, there are long travels and that kind of things. But when you live this in your own body, it's difficult. And I'm waiting if Messi of this kind of player, when we travel to the West Coast, we will see.
Well, soon enough.
We will see.
Have you ever done a trip like that? I mean, in your playing days, obviously you've made some long trips, but to get on a plane, 5 hours back.
But maybe for preseason, but not during the season.
No, never. The longest trip I had in Spain maybe is 2 hours.
But most of it, you take a bus probably if you're in the city. You normally get on you have to go to the airports. And it's a pain.
Yeah, but not a plane and 3 hours difference there.
3
it's
hours,
like 8 hours travel. That's crazy. Here
Our country
you
is
are
very
crazy.
large.
In the
So
US.
aside from all of that, who are some of the players that you've gone up against this year that have impressed you from other teams?
I will say Leo Chu of Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
This kid, it's surprised because it's not one of the greatest for the public. No, it's not one of the greatest players in the league, maybe, but I think he will be. We starting to see he did so many assists this year, always to Morris, and the game that Morris scored 4, I think he made the 4 assists. So he surprised me a lot. Very talented, very fast. But there's very interesting players here.
I'm not going to let you get a question in.
No, but I'm just amazed because these guys. I talked to Giorgio. He asked me about Real Salt Lake Houston game. He had questions. You guys are all watching a lot of MLS.
Yeah,
it's
No,
great.
it's great. It's really great. And good segue. I watched a lot of him playing before he came in to the beginning of the season, and one of the things that I love about you is your aggressiveness and your like desire to defend. Where does that come from? Because it doesn't land with a lot of people, and a lot of people don't appreciate it like a former fullback would. But like getting forward, being aggressive, actually defending properly, getting your feet set, moving your feet, like all of those things are reason why I love your style of play. Where does that come from?
Thank you. That come from, when I was in Barcelona, everybody there is so technical. And me, I'm okay technical. I think I'm pretty good. I'm okay, but I'm not as good as my teammates were. And I have to be good in one thing. And I focus that on my defense, on my aggressiveness, on my intensity.
Were you always a fullback?
No, I used to play, but I used to play in the midfield. Yeah. But I think with 15 years old, I went to the position of fullback, and there I start to be more focused in this aspect of the game, and that's why. And I love it. I really love it to face the best players in the league. To try to complicate them the things, the matches. I like that, but I feel that I can be better. I can be more consistent during the matches, because I started well aggressive, but then my fitness is not good enough to keep it during all the game. But soon it will be. Yeah.
You mentioned Barcelona, and obviously a big game coming up on Sunday. Ilie Sanchez has Barcelona ties as well, and everybody, whether you've been close to Messi, when you were playing in La Liga, or as a fan, as we have, what does that mean? I mean, what are the conversations like, knowing you'll be on the field with him, but not only that, to know the power this guy has, because everyone's noticing. Millions of people, subscriptions up in Apple TV. It's big, but it's even bigger than we could have ever imagined.
Yes, I knew it was going to be very big, and we saw the impact, the instant impact that he has. So we are very excited to receive not only Messi, Busi, Jordi, and all these amazing players, but we want to make. We don't want to be in the first line watching him playing.
Yes.
We want to, but because I feel that in some games,
as an opponent, you're an opponent. Yes.
In some games that happen, we want to difficult him the life, and not to take photos with them after the match.
Yes, yes.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch you at the end of the game. Make sure you're not.
No,
but it seems like that's the type of player you are. You make it hard for everyone, but you do it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a lot of players like you on this team.
Yeah.
Giorgio, at the top, who goes in hard, but then picks the guy up, pats him on the back. And you do the same. Ilie, the same. There's a ton of guys throughout our roster that are like that, and I think that's the right way of going about it.
It's been a big debate too about, hey, do you have photos? Because some people getting, like, I think it was Brandon Vasquez at Cincinnati, you're like, hey, but it's people, you notice those things.
Yeah, it's normal that you want to
I sabotage your question. Sorry.
No.
But you say that there's a lot of people taking photos with.
Yeah,
it's normal.
Of course.
But for me, losing in Leagues Cup 4-0, and then make a line to do photos with Messi, even if we know it's the biggest but you can wait a little bit in the dressing room. You can take the photo.
There you go. That's the protocol. That's
think
how you do it.
We for the image,
Yes.
for the image
Yes.
of the league and of the team.
Well said.
Our supporters. Respect. I don't know.
We have a kind of an inside joke within a lot of the front, like John, Marco, myself, and some of the data analysts. When we first started watching you play, I'm going back to this again, but the amount of tackles that you had in preseason, it was the timely tackles, all the slide tackles, and it was our ongoing joke that we would add each one to a highlight reel at the end of the year and have an amazing highlight reel of all of the tackles that you make. Is that something that obviously you said you picked up as needing to be focused on one specific thing? Who do you, I guess, model your right back playing after?
Like
who inspires you?
Inspiration as a player.
I think for my style, even if he's a Real Madrid player, but I would say Carvajal, no?
Yeah.
Is one of the...
Unfortunately.
We can edit that out. Just kidding.
Yeah, fortunately.
It's good.
But also,
Yeah,
Dani Alves, I think, is
nice.
a good one. He was so good with the ball, but also very aggressive. When I remember the games against Cristiano Ronaldo, he was always so focused and don't let Cristiano to be himself. And yes, we always joke here when we saw me tackling in the rondos. Yeah, we are always having fun with this because it's my style. And yeah, so sometimes I have to be more patient because when you go when you tackle and you don't touch the ball, you are dead.
Yes.
Yeah, if you keep on your feet, you can react. But if you tackle, you know well.
But you are very decisive though with it. So like if you're going for a tackle, it's not going to be some half-hearted attempt. You're actually going to go through the person, which I totally respect. Totally respect.
Well, a couple quick questions about you, about a little bit to know more about you. You've been in LA now a few months. What do you enjoy about the city? What do you, we saw you at LAX Tacos. I mean, you were putting the food down.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
Is the cuisine all right? Are you trying different things? I think Spanish food is at the top.
Yes.
Seafood and the Basque, everything is just great.
Yes,
but
great.
how do you see a life in LA, eating, living?
I'm enjoying a lot here. Honestly, I love the city. I love the plans that you can do here. It's crazy. We always talk with my wife. It's crazy. Here you will never get bored.
Yes.
It's amazing, and me that I love all kind of sports. Here we have baseball, we have American football, we have basket.
I saw you watching tennis on your phone.
Yeah, watching tennis. I went to Indian Wells here at the beginning of the season.
Nice.
So and you can go to the beach, always good weather. It's crazy. I love.
And wife's
I love
happy
that.
too. She's like, the wife is happy too.
Yeah, she's
Great.
happy. She's happy. So we are very happy here. First, the adaptation is a little bit difficult. You know, the prices, the difference, the prices here, or the traffic.
Yes.
You know, these kind of things that we know well living here. But then you see
It's worth it.
you see the positive things, and you say, let's enjoy here because it's unique.
Yeah.
The hot also hot.
Hey, it gets hot. It gets hot in a lot of places, but that's
that's
something to do with. Is there a place you enjoyed that you saw that surprised you that you went? Have you maybe the theme parks or hiking? When is that?
Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach.
Yeah, Manhattan Beach. I love it.
That's where all the coaches are too. You get to.
Yeah, I know. They have.
Pretty standard.
You run into Ante or one of the guys there,
Yeah.
or John. Well, brilliant. Hey, we love to carve out some time with you here. You've been an absolute delight to watch, and we appreciate the work you're putting in for LAFC, and we like even more that you have endeared yourself to this city so much.
Thank you so much. I follow the podcast, and I see some teammates there, And
Everyone,
happy to be here.
Everyone should watch the podcast, right?
Yeah, of course.
Everyone should watch the
Everyone.
podcast.
Yeah,
Just
of
for you,
course.
though.
Yeah,
Just for you.
just for me, just for our interesting NFL talk with Fufu as well.
Uh,
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
gonna do
yeah.
fantasy football?
Yeah, I mean.
I held my tongue because I was like, I ate up too much time talking fantasy last time. I didn't even want to bring it up, but I knew that you were in. and
Yeah,
so
of
I'm
course.
pretty excited.
Don't finish
about it.
last.
I'm always in.
Don't finish last.
I don't know if he knows.
I will try.
Camping
Okay.
out, last
You have to
place.
camp out here.
Yeah.
We're gonna film that.
Wow.
I'll talk to you afterwards.
Wow.
So do
yeah,
your
yeah.
homework. You do your homework when you do your
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Thank you so much to Sergi Palencia. Thank you for tuning in here. Make sure you rate, review, download, subscribe, tell a friend of Inside LAFC Podcast. We'll see you again next week. Have a great Labor Day weekend and enjoy the game on Sunday. That's a big one.